As Jamaica navigates the Melissa aftermath with regards to the impact that it has had on the country and how the relief process and effort is being handled, there are many who are asking for oversight so that they can have transparency, so they can follow and track the money. There are also others who are looking on in terms of governance and seeing how that is being manifested in the day-to-day operations, and also the impact that these will have on Jamaica in the future. And there is a lot to have a dialogue about, so let's dive into this conversation.
The Jam Fam family. Jam Fam, come hang with me. Yeah.
Hello, Wagwan. Big up yourself, whether you're there yard or you're there abroad. Welcome back to another episode of Life with the Jam Fams. Now, with this whole scenario and situation, what we want to focus on first is we're going to have a look at how this relief process is going and whether or not it's just political tactic or for the national good. So we want to focus firstly on when this crisis happens, some of the things that's going to happen. So first, we had an influx of Friends of Jamaica, let's call them that. So there are charities who are coming in, whether they're people on land going into the highly affected areas or people coming from abroad, coming in and giving aid. And these are things that we're going to see at the forefront. Many of them come with their cameras so they can document that whole process. And those are things that are going to be prominent in the very beginning. It's expected. The relevant ministerial departments have done significant amounts to ensure that they are able to expedite the clearance of things that are being shipped, as well as reduce the cost for those importations. And so to help with those charitable organizations getting their produce and their products into the country, and also disseminating those to the people who are in need of them at a reduced cost. There are departments and agencies that have been tasked with certain responsibilities to go out and bring report of the situation on the ground. Of course, we saw that the relevant people elected governance have gone out and they've also done their ground checks to see what's happening. We had lots of experts who came in from other countries to help with the assessment of the damage that has been done, so that people are then able to be more proactive at addressing some of these issues. One of the things that have been criticized so far is the amount of immediate availability of government support to help people along with what money has already been donated through the various channels. Now, one of the things we've got to recognize is that when we have such calamities or disasters like these that we've had on the island, people first have to look and assess where they are, the things that they are able to do for themselves, and get those done. They're also able to look at the charities and different organizations who come in and are bringing in relief that involve food supplies and other perishable things, and some of who carry clothing and other urgent like temporary shelter and blankets and things like those. Some of the things that people then need to work together within their community, organize and do. So we need to implement some accountability to be able to get those things done. And then in addition to that, people then need to look at how they can repair some of the damage that they have experienced on their own, and assess and evaluate, and then see what kind of help or support they need further. Some people are actually wanting help, but they haven't yet assessed what kind of help they actually need, so that they can get the best support that they need for the situation that they found themselves in. What we do realize is that for somebody who is managing a portfolio, or any group of people that are chair people on a board of governance, for example, they have got to not just look at the immediate effect, but they have to also look at the future and what is going to be overarching for all stakeholders. And as a nation, what are some of the things that we see that we're being focused on are trying to ensure that companies and organizations and the workforce is able to be reopened, re-established, so that the economy can continue to churn, to see that the tourists can continue to come into the country so that people can get back to work where that's possible, and to see that the hospitals, the roads are cleared, those things that impact the whole Jamaica. And therefore, we know that although there are specific regions of the country that are more significantly affected than others, we are hearing frequently mentioned as though there is some sort of inequality. But first and foremost, a responsible leader is going to want to ensure that the resources, the limited resources they have, are being utilized in areas where it's going to impact everybody or the most people possible. So therefore, they're not going to be able to say, okay, we're going to go into this community and do this for this person and that. They're first going to want to focus on what's going to be helpful for all. And once that is addressed, then they're going to want to go in and see what they can do for those people who are in a situation where they need specific help, and assess what those are and the best alternative for that. For example, housing for people, affordable housing for people whose houses have been demolished, and also looking at incentives and programs that can be implemented, welfare and benefit programs that can be implemented for people, whether a short term or temporary but over a longer period of time. It is not to say that the people in positions of leadership are neglecting people who are in certain situations on the ground. It is that they need to prioritize the resources they have so that it is going to have the greatest impact wherever they're going to invest it. So investing it in a way that we reopen schools, it means children are able to go back to school. They open hospitals, it means all the people who have illnesses within those areas and are affected can get back into getting their medication. And of course, it progressively goes down the list for where people who are in marooned communities are then able to get whatever relief that they need to be able to get themselves back on their feet. Now, whatever happens, however good or however bad it happens, the governance is, people are going to criticize. It simply is, because people have differing opinions, they have different priorities, and therefore they're going to criticize. However, when we do, we need to be fair and we need to be balanced with our criticism. And it is important that we have oversight, but the priority also is that we ensure that the things that need to get the country up and running are also being done and being addressed, because at the end of the day, we can always track the money and see where it's going, because systems are in place to ensure that that's something that's going to be doable. We hear people from the media criticizing, we hear people from the opposition criticizing, and these are things that we actually need to talk about. And this wasn't a conversation that I necessarily wanted to have here because of the fact that we are an apolitical set of people. We try to not get involved in politics in any way, shape or form. We like to look at governance, but the politics of it is not something that we are interested in. And this is something that I've had since my childhood. So therefore, at this point, I just want to look at how things are being managed, and not necessarily at parties that are managing it, but rather the governance of our country for the national good. And so I listen to the conversations that are happening, and I just wanted to have this conversation because we need to recognize that when criticism are happening, most of the times the people who are criticizing are people who are outside of the crisis that is brewing. They don't have the ins and out information. The information they're using to criticize is very limited to the context of the situation oftentimes, and therefore it's good and grand that they can make those criticisms because they're not the ones in the heat of the volcano. They're not the ones at the epicenter of the earthquake. They're not the ones in the eye of the hurricane. And I've said enough metaphors to make my point clear. And so that's why they are able to do all of those criticisms. I've watched an interview of an MP, and he was in Westmoreland, and he was talking about all of the things that he's gotten in his constituency and how they're trying to make sure they earmark it and get it to the relevant people. He also mentioned that it would be good for the procedures to be reviewed, which is a good remark to make. And I said that because if we're not reflecting and reviewing the procedures that we're following, how then are we going to be able to make changes, important, relevant changes, and improve the process for the future? And so that is necessary to be done. However, we also need to be mindful that some of these things that we're experiencing in a Category 5 hurricane disaster and aftermath are things that the country has never experienced before. And so some of it is going to be a sharp learning curve for those people in leadership, and it's going to require them to make quick decisions, but also decisions that they have gathered enough information for so that they are able to make proper informed decisions that's not just going to impact us now in the here, but also in the future. We can't just be short-sighted, we also have to be long-sighted. We have to think about the future, and we have to think about what Jamaica will be like from the decisions made now in 10 to 15 years down the line. We can't just think about what it's going to be like in a month or in 6 months, because this whole process is going to take a while. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who want to see where the money is going and are keen to follow it every little step, and monies are coming in from all different avenues. And of course, it needs to be monitored, and accountability needs to be there. And so that is something that's important. One of the other things I'm not very pleased about is some of the leadership that I'm seeing, or some of the behaviors from the leaders. So for example, people coming out and doing their press conferences and going out and making exclamations about things and showing their disapproval for how things are being conducted and how things are being done. And I look at it and I think, as somebody who has had over a decade of leadership exposure and experience, normally when you are in a position of leadership, you are supposed to be the one who is giving people courage and motivating and encouraging them that, you know, situations are going to get better. You have a vision and you're going to run with the vision, and you're pulling them in, getting them to buy into that vision. So when you come out and you're appointed this role, and you come out and you're explaining things to them in press briefing and press conferences, that you are showing that makes you seem as though you're putting blame on another party because you aren't able to fulfill your duty and responsibility. Nobody should be listening to that, because if you're coming out and saying, these were the challenges we faced, these are the ways in which we overcame those challenges, these are the outcomes we now have, and this is how we're going to be moving forwards, fine. But if you're going to come out and you're going to have a conference and you're going to talk about the difficulties and the challenges, and making it seem as though there is inequality and unfairness and difficulties and challenges, and people are not comprehending it, or the information isn't accurate, then those aren't things that leaders should be doing. Because if the information isn't accurate, then simply get the accurate information, go and have the meetings with who can make the difference, have the meetings with them, and get those necessary changes done. I find that so many people, both the people who are coming in to do aid, and also some of the people in elected offices, are just simply looking for clickbaits and campaigning in a way where they shouldn't be, because at the moment we should all be focused on the national good, and we should be working collaboratively for the benefit of the nation at large. Everything that we're doing now should be about that, and some people seem to be using it as an opportunity to campaign, to sling mud on somebody else, rather than to work together for what is the good of Jamaica, full stop. It's not about this party or that party. It shouldn't be. And it shouldn't be an opportunity for campaigning or to smear somebody's reputation and their character. It should be about, how can we make the best out of this situation, because it's a disaster, but it's also an opportunity. And therefore we need to be looking at how we can use the opportunities we're presented with to build the best regions, constituencies, communities that we can, as we are rebuilding, and how can we utilize the skills and the human resources that are available to the best of our ability to make this a reality. And it's sometimes I want to just ask people if they realize that when they go on and they do certain things and they behave in a way that removes their own dignity or denigrates somebody else's character and reputation, that it doesn't look nice. And we need to be more accountable. We can't keep blaming other people for things that's our duty and our responsibility. We have got to be able to see the challenges that we're faced with and address them the right way. And for too long, Jamaicans tend to use public opinion, to be able to help to make decisions. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't use the opinions of people. It's the way in which it's used, where we come out and we just blast information that is of no relevance other than to make other people look in a negative light. And it's disappointing watching it and seeing people behaving that way, and also the denigration of people's character in the process. You know, if we're doing charity and we're giving aid, just go and do charity and give aid without demeaning people further, without denigrating them any further, without them losing their human dignity in the process. You know, I was watching a video recently, and they were televising, and what the people did was they used the audio of the persons that they were interviewing, and then they videoed the landscape. They didn't video the people's faces. And I was so grateful for that, because those people in their point of absolute weakness right now, when they are down and out, they are looking for support and for help. They are not looking for people to come and exploit them in their challenges. And so I was so grateful to see that that person acknowledged that these are human beings with feelings and who are going through a hard time, and we don't need to make it more by denigrating them any further, because human dignity is essential and we should make sure that we're maintaining it at every cost. I just wanted to highlight that in 10-20 years from now, we're all going to be looking back at this point in Jamaica's history and assessing how well was it used for the advancement of our country. And therefore, I just wanted to come and have this conversation here with people, just to highlight some of the things that I see happening and some of the things that I wish wasn't happening. But I hope that it will also be a learning curve for Jamaicans as to how we can transform our own landscape in the way in which we deal with things and in the way in which we utilize the media, and ensuring that we're not just hearing stuff and just taking it and running with it. We need to make sense out of nonsense with everything that we hear, because oftentimes people spread these things and it just goes like wildfire, and people grab onto it without really looking further into the context of what they're being told and finding out more information so that they can actually see value or discard nonsense. And so it's important that we're making sure that all of these things we're seeing and hearing at this point in time, we need to actually just sit down and assess them deeply so that we are then able to decide how things are going. Accountability, good governance, national good should be the focus right now, and working collaboratively for the good of every Jamaican. Tell us what you think in the comment section below. We look forward to hearing from you. It's so good to see all of the colors back out in the town again. Color craze, you just see them all out once more. That is really good to see as you come out in the town and see all of the different colors from the different uniforms on the town. Lovely looking. All different colors, the browns, the blues, the blacks, the purples, different shades of purples, the greens, you name it, they're out here. Hey, Eliona and I are going on a walk. Yep. She has slowed down. Oh gosh. Come on, man. Keep coming. Keep moving. Look who's there. She caught up. She caught up. She caught up. Yeah, man. So I go, hey. Ooh. So we are going to keep walking. We're going for a little stroll. What happened to your foot? Oh. Yeah, man. That's how you go. Sometimes you have to just get out and go for a stroll. No, we're special. Just strolling, which is what we're doing right now. So, we're just going to walk up to the top and then get a look at if there's any view up there, and then turn back. So have a late food prep. I'm doing some curry chicken over there. Just finished off on the callaloo and got some fried chicken going here, and then I'm going to do that with some fries, and that's going to be tomorrow. We'll do some yams to go with that. So it's a bit of a late start to this, but it's come on a good way so far. So we're almost there. And in the middle of my cooking, almost finished, what do you think happened? Yep. I will just show you we're in. Hey, look at that pretty face in our darkness. We have no light. Oh, the power cut. Oh my gosh. Such is life. Hopefully we come back soon. one was fairly short-lived, so it's all good. By the time I went to to spot the time when it went, it was about 5:50, and by 5:53 it was back, so that's good. So we can get back on with stuff we need doing. Can go iron some school uniform and do all of the other stuff that we need to get done.
The Jam Fam family. We're Irie, living the good life. We're royal, cruising through the West Indies, having fun, enjoying the good life. Jam Fam family, the Jam Fam family, yeah. Jam Fam, come hang with me. The Jam Fam family. Jam Fam, come hang with me. Yeah.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on this another episode of Life with the Jam Fams. Do take care. Bye for now. We'll see you in the next one. Walk good.